all these old letters of my book are right, but Tzadi is not the star. This is also secret. My prophet shall reveal it to the wise. Now, far be it from me to try to interpret the book of the law, even too much to myself. But whenever I run across in Crowley's writings, especially sacred writings, the word understanding, or he who understands, or wisdom, or who is wise, I immediately turn my attention to the two sephira on the tree of life, number 2 and number 3, Chokmah, wisdom, and Binah, understanding. Not that every time he uses those words, he's referring to those two supernal triad levels of consciousness, but I have to think that perhaps it often is. What you have here, my dear?
Good morning, dear. It's a cup of strong, foamy matcha, so
Foamy.
we'll now have a green mustache.
My mustache will match my background this morning. Thank you, dear. Okay, show us the turtle when you bring her out.
Right now.
Anyway, be that as it may, I'm going to repeat that little chapter verse. All these old letters of my book, which is capitalized, are right, but Tzadi is not the star. This is also secret. My prophet shall reveal it to the wise. And here comes our wise.
The wise. Oh, not over the matcha.
Don't drip.
Pick up the matcha.
Don't drip it on my.
On
Okay.
your book?
Here.
How am I going to do that?
Let me do this. You'll have to meet our turtle this morning. Okay. Up there.
The Vicomtesse.
Up. Say hello. Say hello. What? What?
She's going to go out into the garden now.
Yes, there's a lot of people looking at you, sending your love. Try to show the red ear, that part.
She won't turn.
Oh, look, yeah, I'm so pretty.
Get me out of my garden.
Oh, don't drip on my computer anymore.
You told me to bring her.
Oh, okay. Excuse me. Let me just wipe away the salmonella.
She does not have salmonella. She has Rutherford.
So, okay. I'm going to discuss the aberrations in the Thoth Tarot, in the assignment of Hebrew letters and key numbers to the Thoth Tarot that differentiate it from what many of us consider as, a standard deck of tarot cards. And it all has to do with the Tzadi Hay switch in the Hebrew letter sequence, and the switch from number 11, lust, or number 11, justice or adjustment, and number 8, lust or strength. It confuses many people, and well, you should be confused. If we interpret it, reveal it to the wise, you need to be the level of magus to actually understand that and have crossed the abyss, long ago crossed the abyss. So, but anyway, I'm going to read you from chapter 13 of Understanding Aleister Crowley's Thoth Tarot. Nobody really knows where tarot cards originated. Obviously, they could not have existed as cards before the invention of paper. As a matter of fact, we cannot with any degree of certainty trace them any further back than northern Italy in the first half of the 15th century. Okay. I'm going to skip ahead to the ordering of the trumps. For the most part, the individual trump cards of the Thoth Tarot should be immediately recognizable to anyone who's familiar with the traditional images of tarot. The Aeon is the most striking example. Instead of Israfel blowing his horn at Judgment Day, Crowley's replaced that image with a stylized version of the Stele of Revealing. But most of the other cards are pretty recognizable as standard cards. In the Thoth Tarot, the 22 trumps are formally referred to as Atus, A-T-U-S, of Tahuti. According to Crowley, Atu was an ancient Egyptian, is ancient Egyptian for house or key. Tahuti is the god Thoth of the Egyptian Hermes or Mercury. He also informs us that the word Atu, spelled A-T-O-U-T, is short for the French phrase bon à tout, meaning good for anything, or like a wild card in tarot, or in bridge or card games. The earliest decks did not have titles printed on the trumps themselves, and the numbers of the trumps and their ordering differed. As early as the 1490s, however, a basic collection of 22 characters and images, ordered more or less as we find them in modern decks, appeared as the standard model throughout Europe. There's no real evidence that this standardization was the result of anything more occult or mysterious than the natural congealing of the conventions of the popular game. Nevertheless, even that phenomena in itself may have profound implications concerning how the human mind is hardwired to respond to archetypal images. In a time, sounds like one of those trailers, in a world where your mother is a homicidal moon goddess and your father is a solar cult leader. I digress. In a time when artificial images were limited to rare paintings, statuary, and architecture, the introduction of a portable pack of colorful images that could be viewed and enjoyed at one's leisure for hours on end must have had as much impact upon the psyche of 15th century Europe as photography and motion pictures had upon that of the 19th and 20th centuries. With one exception, the Atus, or trumps, of the Thoth Tarot conform to the Tarot de Marseille sequence, which is the same as that originally established by the deck of Catalin Geoffrey in 1557. The Thoth Tarot also follows, with one exception, the Golden Dawn's secret scheme of attributing certain Hebrew letters and their corresponding elemental, planetary, or zodiacal attributions. That one exception has been and continues to be the source of much discussion and argument among students of modern occultism. In the next few pages, I'll do my best to explain why the Thoth Tarot attributes the Hebrew letter Tzadi to the fourth trump, the Emperor, and the Hebrew letter He to the 17th trump, the Star, instead of the other way around. It's all because of one sentence of one verse of the book of the law. All these old letters of my book are aright, but Tzadi is not the star. Don't feel badly at first if you find what follows to be difficult to understand. Lady Harris, the painter of the Thoth deck, was quite frank with Crowley about her confusion. Now, I'm going to do this. This book, I liberally pepper throughout the entire text of snippets of letters back and forth between Aleister Crowley and Frida Lady Harris during the creation of the book of the Thoth tarot cards. And it's very insightful, very cute, and it projects a very humorous element to what we otherwise would think of as these gods of occultism. It's very cute. So if you have this, you'll have a great deal of the correspondence between Crowley and Harris and back and forth. Here's what she said about this Tzadi Hay thing. Also, I don't feel you've... No, I won't do that. Also, I don't feel you've made it clear about Tzadi, the emperor. Can't you have a diagram? I've been reading your book to Anne Christie in the evening, and although she's very interested, she could not understand your book, and I'm not sure I did either. And the book must have been the manuscript for the Thoth Tarot that he was working on as she was working on the cards. I'm assuming that, okay. It will be a point about which there will be the most argument. Is there any reason for the two loops except secrecy? Sure, and if not, why not undo the hoop? And is the emperor to be numbered 17 or 4? Or 4 or 17, ditto the star in strength 11 and justice 8? I expect I have still got it all wrong, but if I have, you must be clear, because I'm only just below subnormal intelligence. A biento. Sort of reminds me of the dialogue in that English sitcom Mapp and Lucia. That's very genteel. Okay. I wish we had Crowley's response to the above letter. It might have been something like his commentary on this verse later published in the Laws for All, and I'll quote for that. I see no harm in revealing the mystery of Tzadi to the wise, and he puts that in quotes. Others will hardly understand my explanations. Tzadi is the letter of the Emperor and trump 4, and Hay, the star, trump 17. Aquarius and Aries are therefore countercharged, revolving on a pivot of Pisces, just as trumps 8 and 11, Leo and Libra, do about Virgo. This last revelation makes our tarot attributions sublimely and perfectly, flawlessly symmetrical. Okay. Now, just briefly for a second. Now, if we would undo this loop and just make it one continuous circle, oval, the zodiac would be in just normal order, starting with Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, etc. But over here, lust, and adjustment. Okay, if you loop that, the zodiac still remains in order. And it's sort of, that's what he means by Leo and Libra pivoting around Virgo. And this is what he means by Aries and Aquarius pivoting around Virgo. I mean, Pisces. Okay. There's the Hey Tzadi switch. There is the key number switch. That's the Hey Tzadi switch there. And this is the key number switch here. Now, the original, I'll read it here, but just to summarize. The Tarot de Marseille sequence order had Libra Justice card in the 8th position, and the Leo Tet card, the Strength card, in the 11th position. And that's how tarot was, okay? But it put the zodiac out of whack. If you would switch them back to the original sequence, the zodiac would run correctly. Plus, the Golden Dawn also assigned Hebrew letters to each of the tarot trumps. And if you use just the zodiacal trumps, it would put the Hebrew alphabet back in order. So the Golden Dawn stroked their goatees and said, it must be a blind. Okay, it's a big secret. Let's just put the cards in Hebrew letter order and sequence them back to normal. Tarot of Marseille was wrong. Okay. And that the Golden Dawn put things put things in that order. And if you follow the arrow around the zodiac, you got Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, everything continues as normal. So the Golden Dawn returning to the or changing the Tarot of Marseille sequence did that. And Crowley was happy with that. Everybody was happy with that. Paul Foster Case was happy with that. Everybody was happy. Is everybody happy? Okay. Without illustrations, this explanation is rather hard to picture. The Book of Thoth contains diagrams and tables that do not always agree with each other. What follows is my best attempt to sort things out. The adepts of the Golden Dawn, working from existing and or innovated esoteric doctrine, assigned Hebrew letters to each of the trumps. Among many other things, these 22 Hebrew letters also represented 3 primitive elements, 7 planets, and the 12 signs of the zodiac. With only 2 exceptions, as indicated in Table 6, by double arrows. I won't, if you have the book, you can see that. The order of the 22 trumps neatly follows the sequential order of the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. The exceptions to this otherwise tidy arrangement relate to the traditional positioning of 2 trumps, 8, adjustment or justice in the older decks, and 11, lust or strength in the older decks. If we were to follow the natural order of the Hebrew alphabet, adjustment would be assigned to the 9th letter, Tet, which represents the zodiac sign of Leo, And lust would be assigned to the 12th Hebrew letter Lamed, which represents the zodiacal sign of Libra. This is not the case, and the adepts of the Golden Dawn made the correction. It's easier to see on table 7. Okay, and they're just tables, okay, which shows only the zodiacal trumps. Notice how by making strength or lust trump number 8 and assigning the Hebrew letter Tet and making justice adjustment trump number 11 and assigning the Hebrew letter Lamed, the Golden Dawn arrangements restore the natural order of the signs of the zodiac and to the Hebrew alphabet. As tidy and as logical as this switch is, it nevertheless disturbs the traditional sequence of trumps. And this bothered many Golden Dawn members, including Crowley. The Thoth Tarot follows the Golden Dawn model in that it assigns Teth, Leo, to lust, and Lamed, Libra, to adjustment. But it retains the traditional sequence, key sequence, of lust as the 11th and adjustment as the 8th trump. So in other words, Crowley was happy with the Golden Dawn repair as far as the Hebrew letter assignments, but he returned the key number sequence to the original traditional Tarot of Marseille sequence. If we were to project this change upon the belt of the zodiac, it would be as if a twist or a loop formed around the sign of Virgo, changing the natural order of the signs from Leo, Virgo, Libra to Libra, Virgo, Leo. It's almost easier to wrap your meat brain just around the diagram like that, and you go, oh, it's easier to see it than it is to talk about it. Okay. And I've got diagrams here that show that's just the zodiac sign normally, and that's what the Golden Dawn did by assigning the Hebrew letters and returning the sequence. Okay, that sort of leaves a lopsided thingy there, but anyway. This arrangement leaves us with a curious and somewhat imbalanced diagram of the zodiacal belt, but it didn't seem to bother Crowley, at least not until shortly after noon on April 8th, 1904, when he was in the middle of receiving the first chapter of the Book of the Law in his hotel room in Cairo. Aiwass was speaking for the goddess Nuit and had just dictated these words. Invoke me under my stars. Love is the law, love under will. Nor let the fools mistake love, for there are love and love. There is the dove, and there is the serpent. Choose ye well. He, my prophet, hath chosen, knowing the law of the fortress, and the great mystery of the house of God. When Crowley heard, and he said he actually heard with his auditory senses the dictation of the Book of the Law, when Crowley heard the reference to the fortress and the house of God, and those are alternate titles to the trump 16, which is the Tower card. So Crowley was being dictated all of this. Aiwass made this statement that he wrote down, but in the statement it started Crowley thinking about tarot cards. a question arose in his mind concerning the general correctness of the ordering of the tarot trumps. It's like he was saying, oh boy, I've got an omniscient angel here in my hotel room. I could ask the guy anything. And so, in a sense, Crowley was kind of interrupted by this thought. And then Aiwass read his mind. He read that thought and interrupted his dictation to say, all these old letters of my book are right, but Tzadi is not the star. This is also secret. My prophet shall reveal it to the wise. Now let's get on with my dictation. More or less, that's how I see it. This comment puzzled Crowley. If Tzadi wasn't the star, then what card was, and what Hebrew letter should be attributed to the star card? The answer, if I can turn the page, the answer was sometime in coming. But when it did come, there was no doubt in Crowley's mind that he had figured it out. Tzadi was the emperor. This, and here's Crowley, this card is attributed to the letter Tzadi and refers to the sign of Aries in the zodiac. This sign is ruled by Mars, and therein is the sun exalted. This sign is thus a combination of energy in its most material form with the idea of authority. The sign TZ or TS implies this in the original onomatopoetic form of language. It is derived from Sanskrit roots meaning head and age, and is found today in words like Caesar, Tsar, Sirdar, Senate, Signor, Senior, Signor. The emperor's old letter was He, and it's now attributed to the star. He is the letter for both female components of Yod He Vav He. The supernal mother He of Binah and the unredeemed daughter He of Malkuth, and a perfect representation of the star goddess depicted in Atu 17. Why hadn't someone thought of this before? Of course, Crowley was not satisfied with just knowing what the switch was. He had to find a more esoteric and technical reason why Tzadi was not the star. And as we see in Table 8 in Figure 25, switching the trumps that represent the Hebrew letters He and Tzadi upsets the natural order of the signs of the zodiac. But on the exact opposite side of the zodiac as the key number switch of the Golden Dawn from the Tarot of Marseille. As if another loop had formed on the belt of the zodiac that twisted around the sign of Pisces and changed the natural order from Aquarius, Pisces, Aries to Aries, Pisces, Aquarius. It's likely that there will always be confusion and controversy over this matter, but it doesn't help that Crowley offers us conflicting diagrams and statements in the Book of Thoth. The most vexing are Table 20, and remember the tables that Crowley puts in the Book of Thoth, he snipped from earlier works and earlier publications done years before he even started thinking about things like that. So you got to keep in mind that the Book of Thoth, complete with its illustrations and tables, didn't all spring Minerva-like fully formed out of the skull of Zeus. Some of the tables, some of the diagrams were created far earlier, and Crowley just supplied them to to the publisher. But anyway, this is our double loop situation here. Okay, we've got that happening at this end of things, and this happening at that end of things. Okay, key number switch, Hebrew letter number switch. The zodiac still runs the way the zodiac runs, but it takes a loop in both of those directions, and each for a little different reason. Another conflicting thing Crowley has in the Book of Thoth is the last paragraph of his comment on the Emperor, page 78, where he talks of the path of the Emperor as if it held the old position on the tree of life. And maybe it does, okay? Joining Sephirah 2, Hokmah, with Sephirah 6, Tifereth. Whether this is because of inevitable typographical errors, or because Crowley's reticence to form a strict doctrine around any particular verse of the Book of the Law, will probably remain a mystery. But here's a quick reference that I would have loved to have had at the beginning of my study of the Thoth Tarot. It may not conform to every statement in the diagram of the Book of Thoth, but it's the most consistent summary I could create. So here it is. Trump 4 is the Emperor. The zodiac sign assigned to the Emperor is Aries. The Hebrew letter for the Emperor is Tzadi, and everything Tzadi represents. On the Tree of Life, the Emperor is found on path 28, which joins the 7th Sephirah, Netzach, to the 9th Sephirah, Yesod. Trump 8, Adjustment. The zodiac sign assigned to adjustment is Libra. The Hebrew letter for adjustment is Lamed, and everything Lamed represents. On the Tree of Life, adjustment is found on path 22, which joins the 5th Sephirah Geburah and the 6th Sephirah Tifereth. Trump 11 is Lust, or the old Strength card. The zodiac sign assigned to Lust is Leo. The Hebrew letter for Lust is Tet, and everything Tet represents. On the Tree of Life, Lust is found on path 19, which joins the 4th Sephirah Hesed to the 5th Sephirah Geburah. And finally, Trump 17 is the Star. The zodiac sign assigned to the star is Aquarius. The Hebrew letter for the star is He, and everything He represents. On the Tree of Life, He is found on path 15, which joins the 2nd Sephirah Hokmah to the 6th Sephirah Tifereth. Confused? Don't be. Just pull out a deck of Thoth Tarot cards and just sort of see how it's laid out. Postscript. I wouldn't get into a bar fight with anyone, no matter how ignorant or knowledgeable, about this Hey Tzadi switch thing. The idea that my prophet shall reveal it to the wise is where I'll leave it. And for those of you who are just beginning to understand your basic Kabbalah, as Hermetic Kabbalah, as it relates to your magical work with magic and tarot, for a while, don't even worry about it. It's always good to know what the fundamental standardized way of looking at things are, and then when you've mastered that, then you can better appreciate when something becomes more esoterically tweaked. It's like when Constance and I, back before the pandemic, every once in a while would go to an opera. You know, I don't go to that many operas, okay? I'd kind of like to see the opera the way it was written and in the context of its more traditional performance before I see it. Same thing with Shakespeare. Please show me. Show me Henry as a king of England instead of a Nazi German. I sort of want to see what it looked like at first. Then I can appreciate you doing Macbeth as a space alien and things like that. But if it's the first thing I see, I'm really not appreciating, Macbeth the way I should be. I'm being robbed of the original archetypal concept. And that's the same way we sort of feel about public performances or celebrations of rituals like the Gnostic Mass. Tinker with the Gnostic Mass as much as you like, but for a public performance, when someone is trying to see, well, what was it like at first? Was there actually all these changes? Is that what the Gnostic? No, but that's what it could be about. Okay, plenty of room for that. But just like Macbeth is a space alien, of course the magic of Macbeth will still be there, but your initial exposure to it. Same way with studying Kabbalah. A lot of my Chicken Kabbalah book, which of course is intended as a door opener, as a understandable introduction to the whole Hermetic Kabbalah thing. I don't go too far out of my way to inject all of this new stuff into it, knowing that the reader is probably reading this stuff kind of for the first time. And if you already appreciate all of that, it still doesn't get in the way. You can go ahead and tweak it yourself. But I've rambled on enough. What time is it? Oh my God, almost 40 minutes. Sorry about that, everyone. I'm going to have some matcha tea. It's only going up to 98 degrees today. Yesterday it hit 108 right where I'm standing or sitting right now. But I'm sure things are hot where you are too. Anyway, see you tomorrow, hopefully. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.